All right, so for the first survivor we're going to look at in my Survivor Guide series, we're going to talk about Dwight. Dwight is one of the 7 free-to-play survivors, and he's got an interesting set of perks. Overall, I would say Dwight is very good for beginners who are just hopping into DBD. 2 of his perks are what I call enhancement perks. They're perks that help make Dwight himself or survivors around Dwight better. And then he's got Bond, which is another information perk that's available, and it essentially is just going to reveal the auras of nearby survivors to Dwight. This is very helpful if you're playing alone or you're playing with other people who are relatively new to DBD. Experienced DBD players who are playing a Survive with Friends, where you're playing with people in communication, are often very good at explaining where they are and kind of describing their location on the map. New players are going to have a very hard time doing this, and playing with randoms, you obviously can't communicate with them at all. So being able to see the auras of other survivors that are in your area is very, very helpful. This can be good if you're working on a generator, which you should be frequently as Dwight, and a nearby survivor is looping the killer. You can kind of see if they're bringing the killer over by your area. This also helps you find survivors that are injured and coming towards you, um, and helps you locate survivors that are actively working on generators. So Bond is just a really good all around perk. The fact that it gives you information passively is really, really nice. And the fact that it's always on is really nice. There's no conditions to be met. It's just if the survivor's close enough, you see them. So just a solid all around information perk. There are other information perks that I would say are better. There are other information perks that provide just more data for you to work with, but oftentimes they come with more restrictions. Whereas Bond, you put it on there and it's just good to go. So for kind of the passive benefit of Bond, we see a similar thing out of Prove Thyself. Prove Thyself is probably one of the best gen rushing perks. The enhancement value it provides is in getting generators done faster when multiple people are working on generators. Now, normally as survivors, typically the best thing you can do is be spread out and have different people working on different gens. The exception to that rule is when you have a survivor with Prove Thyself. The speed bonus that is provided by Prove Thyself is incredibly valuable. This is so good when you have multiple survivors working on the same generator at the same time. And this is an especially useful perk because it provides you with a blood point bonus. Blood point bonuses are really, really good for early players and also people like me. Like I'm still working on blood points and I'm still trying to use blood points to get everything unlocked in the game. And I've got tons of hours in this game. So anytime you have a perk that gives you bonus blood points, in this case is for cooperative action, so working on generators with other people, which is what this perk is built around, anytime you get those bonus blood points, it's going to give a lot of extra value. So again, this is just a nice passive perk if you see another survivor working on a generator, which you can with Bond. Um, you can go over there, you can get your bonus co-op time, you're getting extra value from Prove Thyself, and you're getting bonus blood points for doing cooperative actions with other survivors. These two together, really, really good. I like both of these perks, and I think they work well in conjunction with one another. And I like that they're both just passive. They're super easy. You put them on there, you can essentially forget they exist and just passively accrue the benefit, right? Leader is probably Dwight's weakest perk. It provides a bonus to certain actions if Dwight is close to the survivor. It does persist for a certain amount of time after Dwight leaves. Um, what I would say in general is that it's okay. It's not bad. I don't think it'll ever be bad. Uh, it's just not a perk that I love. It's not my favorite perk. It does its thing. It's there. It's cool. But I don't think it's nearly as strong as Prove Thyself is because Prove Thyself stacks. If you can get like 3 survivors, there's way more value. And I think Bond's information is way more valuable. Leader is, yeah, a lot of the scenarios where you would get the benefit from it are going to be much more situational, where that 50% bonus is going to matter. And oftentimes, I would say the biggest thing, which is healing, you don't want 2 people healing the same survivor because that means you have 3 survivors all in the same area just focusing on that healing, and that means there's no gem progress being done. And I would say that's the biggest thing when you look at the actions that are available here. As you can see, this deals with healing, sabotage, unhooking, cleansing, opening gates, and chest unlocking. This doesn't deal with generator repair. And all of those other actions are typically either required to be done alone, or in the case of healing, like we just said, you don't want to really do that with too many other people because it kind of focuses the survivor action economy a little bit too much in something that's not great. So I would say the first perk you drop on Dwight is probably Leader. If that's all you've got, it's fine. It's not bad. You will run into situations where it's helpful, but overall, better to have other things. Let's go ahead and hop into a Dwight game. And by hop into a Dwight game, I'm going to hit the ready button, and we're going to see how long it takes to get this done. Overall, if I were thinking about Dwight and just talking about him as a survivor on his own, I'd say he's a solid 5 out of 10. I think that his perks are easy to use. I don't think there's any difficulty in piloting him as a survivor. And so I would say he's just good. So I'm going to go ahead and run just the Dwight perks starting out. I'm not going to use my 4th perk slot. We're just going to kind of see how it feels when we've got these things. Now, Dwight is a gen jockey because of Prove Thyself. There's a lot of value there. So I'm going to go ahead and get a brown toolbox, nothing super special. I'll put two brown toolbox add-ons there. And then we'll put, we'll put some flowers. We'll just get extra blood points. And then because Dwight is so good at objectives, we're going to do the blood points in the objective category. And we're just going to run this. So basic Dwight, no neutral add-ons, no other survivor add-ons, just Dwight as he is. And what I see in this lobby right now, we got 2 other toolboxes. We could really crush a generator really fast with Prove Thyself and put a lot of pressure on the killer. Cool. All right. And so what do I do as Dwight when I hop into a game with Dwight's perks? I look for generators. I want to be conscious about the generators and being active and really pressing for generators. I want to try and find other survivors working on generators and focus on that. And I want to also, because I'm working on generators, try to do what I can to make sure that we don't 3-gen ourselves. 3-genning is one of the worst things you can do with survivors. It's basically when you, as a survivor group, complete generators around the map so that the only remaining generators, when you have 3 left and you need to finish one of them, those 3 generators are all close together. That's a 3-gen. It's really bad because it creates a very concentrated area where the killer can protect those generators without having to move great distances. It's probably one of the biggest mistakes that early survivors and early survivor groups can make, and it can set them up for a very challenging end game, especially if they're newer and they're not as skilled at kind of managing that state. So we're all together. This is great. If we all get on this generator that is relatively nearby, we got one right here. And this is the point where I like to run. We'll get on this right away. And hopefully my friends choose to join me. They're being slow as well, which is fine. One of them fast vaulted, which is bad because that gives the killer a noise indicator. But you're going to see we're going to have really good value on this. Now, I'm listening for heartbeat right now, and the fact that there isn't one makes me very nervous. It's a Legion. Legion's power makes them very good at hitting people that are close, so I need to try and create some distance between myself and the Legion. And what I'm specifically doing is looking for a pallet. Because I stun them, Legion loses their power. Normally I don't like stunning that early, but this is where we are. And I'm running away and I'm looking for my next pallet. I'm looking for the next loop that I can run them at. Okay, he hit me with his power. I'm going to go back over to this side of the map. I'm going to get a little bit of distance, and we'll go ahead and mend. Now there is Thanophobia as well, which is a bit of a problem. And so Legion is a counter to what I typically want to do on Dwight. Normally I want to be with my other survivor friends working together on generators. In this case, what I really want is to just be alone and be away from everybody else. So I've created a pretty unsafe spot for myself. Yep, and I didn't get the 360 off. I just messed up the mechanics there. But I'm in a decent corner of the map, and you can see all the other survivors are spread out, so this is pretty good. We try and hit our skill checks. He takes us to hook. Okay. And honestly, this is a pretty good spot to be. Overall, we obviously haven't got any generators done. That's bad. You typically want your first generator done by the time the first person is going on hook. But our survivors are all spread out. Everybody's working on a gen. I love that. It would be good if one of the far-off people were coming towards me. But finishing that generator over there opens up this survivor on the other side of the big building to come rescue me. Now, the fact that they aren't is still okay. I've got plenty of time before my second hook state. But they are going to start applying pressure, and if Legion goes into their empowered state right now, we're actually in a lot of trouble. So these two survivors grouping up against a Legion, very, very dangerous for us. But we get our unhook here. This is great. Okay. Now this is something you'll notice that I'm not asking the David to heal me. Even with Thanophobia, Legion's power allows him to almost constantly put us in the injured state. That's really bad for us. And we're leaving that generator. I'm just going to go back over to this one. If Legion's going to do their empowered attack over there, I want to be over here. And because we know where Legion is, let's get this generator done. So even though we're slower because we're injured, because we have Prove Thyself, we're still making good progress on this generator. And we're getting 2 generators. If you remember, the other one on the opposite side of the map is where that first generator was completed. We're getting 2 generators finished on opposite sides of the map. That's perfect for preventing the 3-gen. Okay. So get the generator done before we heal in this case. Because Legion's likely just going to injure us again. There's not nearly as much value in healing against Legion. Now I'm going to run for this rescue. Survivors. She's got to run. So I'm trying to pull the Legion away from the hook survivor now. Okay, I didn't 360 properly there, but that's okay. The second hook state's a real big problem for us. That's a free hook state that we shouldn't have given up. Let's see if we can recover. So there's a generator over here. I've got 1 hook state. Dayman and GG both have 0 hook states. Generator's very close to being done, so we can pop this guy. Now we've got generators in the corners of the map. That far corner where the hooked person is still not unhooked. Okay, thank God. And I'm in the corner of the map, so Legion shouldn't be able to proc this. Now I'm gonna wait because me moving into the middle of the map right now is pretty bad. Sure, I mean empty medkit for empty toolbox. And what I want to do, in this case, we've got 4 corners of the map. I want to start working on, like, this generator here. I disagree with this, but the Meg's asking. I'm just going to be nice. The healing here is not a great choice. Again, we could be working on this generator and making gen progress. As soon as Legion hits their empowered ability, we're both injured again. Now, GG is on their first hook. We'll mend up. And this is technically a mistake. You normally shouldn't mend on... Oh. I'm forced to because I don't want my yellow bar to go down. If you have a yellow bar under you and you let it get to an empty state, your character will instantly go down. Which is very bad. We run away. That was good. I didn't pay enough attention behind me. The Legion got to cut down. We work on recovery. So this again is pretty bad for us. Having 2 survivors down is rough. Now, Legion went for the kick and that got our people up. That's huge. And Dayman still is on 0 hooks. So in theory, if you're ever in this point as a survivor and you have control over who takes the next chase and who takes the next down, we want Dayman taking the next down. Because if Dayman goes on, we've got a ton of time on hook. We've still got some pretty good progress on generators. My job right now is to make distance because if I get hooked again, I'm dead. If you can. If you can, with a generator like that. Oh god. Oh, I didn't see him. I had the effect that prevented generators. Okay, I'm dead. That's fine. If you can in that scenario, and what the correct choice for me would have been to do there is to tap the gen, prevent it from regressing, and then help it move forward. We're still in an okay spot. There's 1 generator left and 3 survivors. Again, Dayman needs to take the chases because he has 0 hooks and therefore has a ton of time on hook. If Meg gets it, she's just dead and the survivors are in a lot of trouble. And if Jill takes it, she's on death hook, which means that she's struggling, doesn't have very much time. So this is worst case scenario for us. Dayman has got to show up here. Let's see what he's doing. He's working on generator. Very common early survivor mistake to be working on a generator when you could be, you know, helping your survivor friends out. It's not like anything malicious or bad. It's just very common to want to always avoid the killer. When we have these hook states, the best thing you can do is go get that save. Because now they're down to just the 2 of them. It's almost impossible, even with 1 generator left, to finish. Now they're making good progress. Very, very good job. Watch him tap. Correct. Sticking around is dangerous, but it's okay. It looked like with a progress loss, it looks like we're looking probably at a Pop Goes the Weasel, which is very common. That's a big problem. My alarm's going off. So yeah. And now we have gone to a point where there's not much that Ace can do here. Ace is kind of stuck. Can't even really finish the generator because Legion's probably going to come back here. Going for the unhook's very dangerous. So just because of the nature of who got put on their death hook, this game is a little lost. This is a very common mistake to make, just as far as team play goes. And it's very, very hard to necessarily understand that because you have 0 hooks, you should go pick up chases and you should grab the killer's attention. And Legion's also just kind of difficult to do that with, because Legion was going to bounce around across survivors a lot. Yep. All right. Well, that's all she wrote on that one. We can head out. So, what do we see there with Dwight so far? If we go back and look at our boy, the first thing you'll notice is that, hopefully what you'll notice is that even with a perk like Thanophobia, which was the little red skull diamond in the bottom, I don't think I ever called it out, I was just aware of it. Thanophobia slows you down, but even with Thanophobia, we're making pretty good progress when we were able to find windows to work together. I wasn't over pressing Prove Thyself on Legion and wasn't constantly trying to help people out, because it is very dangerous to do Prove Thyself with a killer like Legion who wants survivors to be stacked up. But also, probably one of the biggest weaknesses for Dwight. Dwight has an information perk and bond, like we said, and Dwight has 2 enhancement perks. Dwight has no looping perks, no perks that help Dwight while he's trying to run away from the killer. And that's one of the biggest issues you're going to have with this particular perk set, is that there's nothing here that helps you escape from the killer, make distance, evade them longer, and extend those chases, thus giving your survivor friends more time to be on the generators. We'll find this with a good number of survivors that don't have any way to create distance or help themselves against the killer. And so the whole idea with Dwight is you really want to avoid being found if you can, so that you can then maximize your value on generators. Let's hop into another match, see if we can't have a little bit more luck. And again, I'm a gen jockey. I'm going to just bring a basic toolbox. We're not going to worry too much about the higher tier stuff. We're kind of thinking about this game in the mindset of a newer player, and we're just going to keep kind of playing towards Dwight's strengths. And I'm making this for YouTube, so hopefully you're all watching this at some point, and hopefully the information here is valuable. If you have questions, please put them in the comment section below. I genuinely appreciate the commentary that can be posted on YouTube, and I'm going to try and do my best with these videos to give you guys input, to give you all feedback, and to kind of help provide insight where and when I can. I think what would be most helpful for me right now, candidly, is if there's another survivor that you are particularly interested in seeing, and you're interested in seeing that survivor played with their perks and not a whole lot of other stuff, let me know, and I'll put together a video. I'll talk about that survivor. I'll discuss how they should work, how they should be played. If you're just starting with them and don't have access to anything else, what you should do with them, and we'll go from there. So just reiterating with Dwight, never mind, we're not getting into that lobby. Just to reiterate for Dwight, our goal is to find generators with other survivors, to work on those generators so that we optimize our time on them, and to avoid the killer if we can, because we don't have good ways of looping the killer. Ideally, we are not the first or second hook, because if we aren't being part of those initial chases, it means that we can be on those generators early on and put our team far ahead with Prove Thyself. Things that I really like that I'm seeing, I see that we have one survivor with a flashlight. Flashlights are very challenging to use, and I would say that's very advanced survivor skill. I can't use flashlights myself still, but it's really good if you have somebody on your team who can. Having one survivor with a med kit, and then obviously my Dwight with a toolbox. This is a good spread. Also, these are just dope cosmetics. So we got Jill, we got Neo, we got Meg. Ideally, we'll have a start similar to that last one, where I start with one or two other survivors. We're all able to go over to the same generator. We work together. What would be ideal is also, if we start hearing the terror radius, we want to get away right away. And we wanted to understand and think about where we are on the map, and use that to inform our decision on where we move away and how we move away, right? The goal is to not be seen. And if we can avoid being the first survivor seen by the killer, we can typically avoid being chased by the killer, which means we can get back on our generators. So I'll talk about that. Normally, in a map, you're going to be set away relatively far from the killer. So if this screen, which I don't have a mouse for, never mind, we'll save it for later. So typically, wherever you are, the killer's going to be set pretty far away from you. That's not always the case, but as a killer, I typically start making a beeline to some of the further gens and start planning my route to hit those further gens first, because it's very common you're going to have survivors on those gens. So be aware that if you are working on the gen closest to you, you'll probably have somebody coming by to say hi relatively quickly. This is weird. I'm not gonna lie. I'm used to streaming and like at this point in streaming, I'm used to streaming and talking to people. It's very strange talking to nobody again. This is like streaming in the before four when I would get online and I have no viewers. I'd have like one viewer, but it was like the Twitch bot that's like watching. um, I don't even know if it's like a Twitch bot. There's always like one viewer in your channel, like at all times. It feels like. Hopefully this is helpful. I genuinely would appreciate too. So I've asked for other survivors you guys are interested in seeing. I would also be interested, like just in questions, like things I'm doing. New Haddonfield, really cool map, has lots of windows, which is really good for us. You have to be conscious that the open area is pretty dangerous. Okay, generator here, perfect. So, what's my exit? Window behind me. As soon as I hear heartbeat, I'm going through that window. That window is to the back corner of the map. It's relatively safe, and if I do it slowly, we'll be in good shape. Now, this is a scary place for stealth killers, so I'm watching my sides. I'm watching the two entrances. Okay, Ghostface just went by. That's a stealth killer. Thank God for Meg. And she's being chased. We're going to bust out the toolbox now. A lot of survivors will use their toolbox right away. If you're using the toolbox for repairing, that can frequently be a mistake. Now I can see where Meg is, and this is the strength of Bond 2. Sorry, I was listening for the heartbeat. It was getting closer farther. One of the strengths of Bond is that I can see Meg's chase, and if Meg gets close to me, I can again move away, or I can go take a protection hit for her. This is great. 2 generators done. Now they're both kind of on this side of the map, so if the street cuts the map in half, and so what I want to do as a survivor is I want to go get a relatively central generator done. Okay, this is both bad and good. Ghostface has given up on Meg, which is the right call. He is coming from me. I'm gonna try to... Cool. Okay, I heard the sound. Okay, that's fine. I heard the sound when he went through that window of the entity blocking it. That means he has Bamboozle, and he can vault through windows faster. I'm looking behind me, seeing where he is. I have time for this. Okay, and I'm just watching him. Yep, and he has to commit to the break, which allows me to run. This is going to be tough, I think. Oh, there's my next pallet. Is he on me still? He is, but he's got some distance. So I don't need to drop this right away. What I can do... Oh, I hugged that a little bit. Oh, okay. Yep, he got me. If I were smart about that and kept going around, I could have looped him 1 or 2 more. He's kind of stutter-stepped, and that caused me to doubt myself. That gets him as down. But we've already got 3 gens done. We're doing great. One of the big things as a survivor is identifying when you can get to a loop like that one, and knowing if you need to drop a pallet or not. If I had something like a Dead Heart, then I would have been in pretty good shape. Cool, 1 generator left. This is great. So between the Meg and I, we've wasted enough of his time that we're in really, really good shape. We've worked on generators that feel like in a bunch of different places on the map. So you'll notice in that, don't panic. Don't feel like you need to run right away. I hear a generator that needs to be worked on. It's above me. Now, I've got one hook state on me. It is not my job to be the hero right now. It's my job to be working on generators. We've got 2 survivors with 0 hook state. Where the hell is this thing? Excuse me, generator. How do I get to you? You appear to be... I'm so lost. I haven't played Haddonfield very much, and I played almost none of it as Survivor. This is very awkward for a guide video. Okay. Okay, I'm going for the other hook now. So new target, get the person off the hook. Ghostface was running away, so I can go help with this hook. Now, I don't want to heal, I want to get on my generator. A lot of survivors are going to, again, prioritize healing over getting generators done. We have proved Thyself. And it'd be great if one of them joined me right now, because we could have 2 people crushing this gen. Instead, half of our action economy is spent healing instead of finishing the game out. Okay, while he's chasing Jill, hopefully Nia's going for the unhook. I'm going to keep getting the main objective of the game done, which is finishing this generator. Now, I've got the red circle around me. I had that little moment, and we see the skull icon on the right of my screen. That means I'm exposed. If Ghostface hits me even once, then I go down. We try for the 360. Nope. Don't get it. That's okay. The danger there was that I went back to a generator, I had the terror radius, and I wasn't aware of what direction the Ghostface was coming from. Should never put myself in that situation. Best thing I can do now is move to a location where the Ghostface is going to have to work to put me on a hook. And then once I get here, we start recovering. Again, I want to maximize the amount of time that he spends, and because I'm clearly not getting recovered, just getting that last little bit. Oh man, okay. So he was forced to bring me over here because this is the closest hook. If you look at where our survivors are working on generators, totally opposite side of the map. Even if I die here, our survivors are in a great spot. Perfect. Now, we see if they can finish in the end game and get me off. With all 3 of us up, they should be able to. We also have 2 healthy survivors. This should work in our favor. Also, when the last generator finishes, get a mental note in your head on where the doors are. One door you can see the survivor working on, the other one is right there, right where my camera's pointing now. So this is the most likely angle for Ghostface to come from. He could come from over here, but I'm going to keep my camera focused on this side. Common technique for survivors when opening the door is to get the gate right to 99, so 99%. If somebody comes and taps this, the door's open. And I'm looking for survivor auras to see if I can't help them get out. It's very common for survivors to work together in the end game so that everybody escapes. I'm going to make my way to the other door, which also appears to be 99'd. By healing me, we're getting all of our survivors in a healthy state. It takes Ghostface a while to stalk. So by doing this, and with our first person going to harass him, we're setting ourselves up for success, and hopefully we should all get out with this play. Cool. We're all healed. Crouching means thank you if you do it just one time. Oh, he whiffed. That's huge. So we're body blocking. She needs to crawl, though. Okay. And by sitting there, I prevent the Ghostface from getting the pickup. Therefore, we get out. And that was an adept Dwight. Let's go for one more if we can. We give a GG's. If we wait for the end screen, I always like to give GG's. It's always good to be kind. It's always good to be nice to everybody who's in here. You want killers to want to come back, so you want to be, nice to them and polite. There are currently fewer killers than there are squads of survivors in Dead by Daylight. Survivor queues tend to be longer, so being nice and kind to your killers is important if you want to keep playing this game. I say this as a killer main. Please be nice to me. Alright. So in that game, did we get great value out of Prove Thyself? Not really. Was it still useful, like on that first generator, getting that movement up in the very beginning? Yeah, that was super helpful, and it set us up for a really good situation where once the Meg was in that chase, I was able to go back and I had a generator with way more progress on it. There are other situations where at the end there, when it was Jill and I both by that door, if Jill goes and opens the door, I can kind of linger there and give her that leadership value. That's the one that I talk about being a little less useful on Dwight. She opens that door 15% faster, which then allows us to move away from that quicker. Now, she chose to go help her teammates right away, which is, in my opinion, the better choice. And that's kind of where the weakness of leadership is. Do we really want two survivors opening a door and kind of focused on that, when we could have one survivor doing that same job and the other survivor providing more value by being around and helping their two other teammates? I think there's way more value in that, in this case, me, instead of providing leadership at the door, going to help my survivors. Or, because Jill's going, I just open the door, and we're better off because of that. Do the same thing, same loadout, just our brown toolbox. Go into this match. This will probably be last match, win, lose, or draw, and we'll chop this guy up. I'm not going to edit this video very much. But hopefully this has been helpful for insight, and hopefully the game commentary has been helpful for you as a survivor if you're new to the game and you're trying to look for more insight and trying to get a better idea of what you should be doing and kind of what you should be thinking about. DBD has a lot of layers to it. It's very challenging. And you can see that, like, I'm not the best at looping. I have my moments, and there are times where I'm pretty good at it, but I'm definitely not the strongest. One of the really good things that happened in that match is the Ghostface got the hit on the Meg, and then he did what I call a chase transfer. Instead of chasing the Meg, he transferred over to me. This was good for the Ghostface because he's much more likely to down me, a less experienced survivor, than Meg, who's very clearly looping effectively. But it's also good for us as the survivors because Ghostface gets a hit on the Meg and then is working on that down hit and having trouble. When he chase transfers to me, he's got to get a second hit to make me injured, and then it's going to take him a third hit in this overall chase sequence to put me in the down state and get his first hook. Chase transfers are very difficult to have to do as a killer, but Ghostface correctly identified that he was not having success with the Meg, and therefore instead transitioned to going after me. In this case, it's kind of good for both sides. The Ghostface obviously wants to get the Meg down, but as a killer, you need to understand that sometimes the right choice is to leave. That the survivor you're going up against is just very strong at looping. They have a lot of experience, and you need to get out. Coldwind Farm. The corn is scary because the corn is a lot of open space. It's also very difficult for the killer to see. We have Cenobite. So whenever you go up against Cenobite, you'll hear that sound. You'll see the chain icon around all of us. Instead of going for Prove Thyself and getting that value, I'm going to go for this box right away. Now, am I the best one to go for this? Absolutely not. I don't have that loot potential, and every time you grab the box, you're essentially, like, really making yourself apparent to the Cenobite. You'll know, okay, I'm walking until I see the Cenobite is in a chase. Now, I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to get to a safe section, and I'm going to look for it. This is good enough. This will do it for me, and I'm going to solve this limit configuration here.
The box. You opened it. I came.
Okay, I opened it over here because I have a TL loop. This is my T wall right here. This is my L wall over here. This is an incredibly strong loop. It is made weaker by this generator, but if you can find these two walls together, it's a great place to practice running the killer. Even if you're new to running, you're going to get incredible value just practicing and getting used to this section. I spend an incomprehensible amount of time trying to get survivors down in this area. Now I'm going to wait and I'm going to try and get some gem progress before I go for that box. Hopefully somebody else would go for it since I'm working on a generator. If I had more points than Bond, the area of aura reading would be higher. But as it stands right now, I'm in a very safe spot. And I'm just going to get this generator done. If those chains get to about 3/4, I'll start making a run for it. Otherwise, I'm going to get my gem progress in. It's important as survivors to try to always have somebody working on generators and getting that progress done. And what this will also do for us, not only do we complete a generator, we create a space on the map Cenobite doesn't want to go, which creates safe space for us. Okay, basement hooks are bad. You never want to see that. I'm going to run for the box. Hopefully she goes for the unhook. Now I need to start solving this right away. This is not where I want to solve, but he's in a chase. Cool. We get it. And then what do I want to do? I want to get on a generator. And then ideally, he'll come for me. So I kind of want to make myself known at this point. In fact, I'm going to make myself more visible. Okay, he has ruin. That's good to know. I want to make myself known. I want to see him come for me. I need to come down here, get the unhook. Cool. So I'm looking to do two things. I'm looking to pick him up as the chase, and I'm looking for a good place to loot. Okay, we get the 360. If you do a tight turn like that, it's good. Okay, good. We got this done. He gets the hit. I need to get away from the killer basement. I need to make distance. That's good. So going to second state is obviously bad for us. Okay. So what happened here that was bad for us? Obviously getting down this early is bad, but we got away from the basement, and we've kind of reset so that he won't keep getting downs in the basement, especially if I make my skill check. So he has to hook me somewhere other than basement, because I got the chase and got him away from the basement. If I have to go on hook, I want to get a hook where we can all get out. I don't know why we're all running there. Unfortunately, nobody is going for the box in this time, and that's a huge problem with Cenobite. You need one of the 4 survivors to always be managing the box. I'd managed the first 2, but because I was in chase with him, I wasn't able to get this 3rd one. While there is a box active, Cenobite becomes incredibly powerful because we're all being harassed by hooks. Okay. Mistakes that have been made so far. Okay, so first of all, a person on 2 hooks taking the chase, always a mistake, right? Our individual there cleansing a totem instead of doing the unhook, also pretty dangerous for us. We're in a pretty far back spot, but you can come back to good play. Okay. If you can hit the great skill checks, great, but don't stress too much about it. Now this is a little scary with the effect he has. I can't hear his terror radius, so he can sneak up on us. But it's also giving us a chance to reset and get everybody healed again. So if none of us are working on generators, and especially Ruin's still out on the table, this is fine. I'm going to go ahead, because I don't see a lot of other survivors really focusing on it. I'm going to do my best to try to be the person who's managing the box. If you don't have another survivor who's actively going for it, you need to make sure that you are. I'm also looking out for Ruin. Okay, he's in a chase, so it's my job to go get the box. Ideally, if I can get the box right now and get him off of her and back onto me, that's great. Or I can solve it right now while he has the pickup. This is the safest time to solve. When he has a survivor picked up and is taking them to hook, best time to solve Lament configuration. Okay. Now I've taken this pallet out over here. He whiffs his ability. I have no reason to leave this loop right now. Okay, we managed to juke him. Okay, lightning isn't going to strike 3 times in a row. I needed to make more distance to get back around, and this is where having a looping perk is really going to help Dwight out. And if you're playing as Dwight, if you can get access to a looping perk early, it's going to really help kind of round his kit out the most. Because if I had Dead Hard there, or even if I had Live to work around or Sprint Burst, just getting access to anything adds a tool to my arsenal to help me out in that situation. So anytime you're looking at a survivor and you identify that they don't have a looping perk, definitely try to figure out what looping perk it is that you enjoy, at least starting out with. Get that unlocked, and then with the survivors you enjoy, try to work through and make sure that they gain access to that looping perk. Overall, pretty happy with some of the plays I made. Obviously, I would like for some of these loops to go longer. Like, it's great to be able to show off amazing looping mechanics. We had Borrowed Time there. That's a Bill perk, which is incredibly useful. If this person isn't solving Lament configuration, we're just toast. So what is left for us with 2 survivors and 3
You
generators?
summoned me.
We're kind of playing for Hatch. This is an active Hex Totem. Because I saw it highlighted, I know that this is my Hex Totem that is applying Oblivious to me and preventing me from hearing Cenobite's Terror Radius. So it's definitely worth trying to cleanse. Now, you can run from the killer, and I think there's a lot of value in looking for it, but you can also just try and be friends with the killer. And sometimes it works. Sometimes the killers... I don't think he wants me to save her. And this is the question. Is my life more important or is hers? Right now I'm gonna just go. I'm very sorry, Claudette. Your life will be missed. And we can just kind of walk together, you know. A nice little moment, Mr. Cenobite and I. And okay, appropriate etiquette. Nod your head yes, crouch once thank you, and then you leave. Always be nice to the killers. Sometimes if you're nice to killers and you do cool things, killers will do cool things back for you. Let me just apologize to the Claudette. So just so you know, those things can happen in games. And it's fun for me. I like doing that as killer. I like when killers do that for me. So, you know, if all else is lost, just be nice. Sometimes being nice is a valid strategy. All right, cool. So I don't think that we quite got the games I really would have liked to show Prove Thyself off. But hopefully some of these games we were able to see some important macro decisions and some of the things I did, and I was able to talk about why I did them. If I'm able to get some more Dwight games in, I will be sure to upload them, and we'll probably do like a secondary video once I have more footage. Obviously, I just don't play Killer, or I don't play Survivor a lot, so a lot of these are going to be relatively limited in the content I'm able to pull. I will be continuing to do these things. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, if you want to see more of this content, Twitch TV/CapNaru. I will try and put that link down in the description for this video as well. As always, thank you everybody who's spending the time coming out watching this video. I genuinely appreciate it, guys. I will hopefully see you for the next one. Unless I have a clear direction for people who want to see a specific survivor, we're going to be going through the first 7 free survivors on every console, and then we'll look kind of from there at what the interest is for other survivors. Hopefully the commentary in this was very helpful for you. I look forward to seeing you guys for the next video. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.